Hello, YouTube world, family, friends, viewers, and subscribers. My name is Robby Williams, and welcome back to the Critical Cognitive Aggressive Thinking channel. I am your host, and what we're going to do is jump into another segment of this channel. And tonight, we're going to talk about this subject on the screen, the rise of suicides. So we all know that's important, but why is it important to the Critical Cognitive Aggressive Thinking channel? Because it's about critical thinking. A lot of kids, young people, middle-aged people, older people, falls into these traps or incident, if you will, in society where they trust someone or they get involved with a person that may do something to them or trick them or whatever it may be, and then they caught up in a web of mess to where these people are threatening them or what have you, or you don't know what the case may be. And before they reach out for help, they feel so embarrassed, they feel so outdone, until the only way out for them is, let me take my life. And people, we only hear about this after it's over. So what I want to do in this episode of the Critical Cognitive Aggressive Thinking channel is to bring to light not only this rise of adolescent suicide, but how we can, as adults, do our part to help slow down this crisis. This is a crisis. Right now, we're dealing with it's almost like a great portion, we're talking about almost like an epidemic, because people are offering themselves quite regularly now. So let's dive into this. As I said before, my topic for this episode tonight is the alarming rise of adolescent suicides and how we can slow down this crisis. First of all, what is the definition of suicide? Okay. Suicide is the deliberate act of killing oneself. That's it. We don't have to draw out a two-page, definition for this. That's what it is. That's why it is important to note that suicide is one of the main causes of death among teenagers all over the world. Adolescents, when we say adolescents, we're talking about puberty. Young kids that have reached that age where they are in puberty. So, this is a crucial period in the developmental process of their mental health. This is stages of growth. As their body go through a metamorphosis and start changing, their mind also go through changes. And that's why it's called puberty. Okay? According to information from the World Health Organization, they explains that the years between the ages of 10 to 19, that is a duration of time that constitutes the adolescent stage, affecting the intellectual and cognitive areas of their mental growth. Now, people, this is real. This is real talk. We're laying it out tonight, okay? Stay with me here now. Stay with me here. Adolescence stage is a period of transitioning between childhood and going to maturity that is characterized by fast growth in all aspects of being, including the body and the mind and their social life. These children, I went through it when I was young. Everybody my age done been through that. You done been through puberty. You had to go through that to become an adult. And while that's happening, you got hormones raging, you got all kinds of body changes going on. And it's difficult for some kids to deal with. And that's where the support of a loving home, parents in the home. I believe in both parents being at home. I understand for some reasons they cannot be, but I also understand this too. I've seen where women or men takes off and leave for no reason, or just chasing another skirt tail. Then you have some women that drives a man out of a home because they see something else that they want. And then there are medical reasons. Let's just be real. But yet and still, I believe that it takes two parents to make sure that a child gets everything they need during their time of growth and development. Suicide has been the second largest cause of mortality. In those ages ranging from 10 to 19, the rates of suicide among white Americans and African-American teenagers have increased tremendously, dating back to 2017. It is at an alarming rate right now in 2024. All hands is on deck when you're talking about professional people, when you're talking about organizations that deal with mental health and other healthcare entities that are concerned about these challenges. Try to understand where I'm coming from on this. This is serious. When we move into, I want to give you a few statistics about suicide. Adolescent suicidal trends reveals that there has been a concerning rise in the suicide rate in recent years. Now, the patterns of data indicates that teenagers most frequently choose to either hang themselves or poison themselves. These are the two desires of choice when you talk about how I'm going to get this done, how I'm going to off myself. Because guess what? Not all of them are old enough to go to someone and get a gun or something, you know, and they may be afraid to do other things. But people, this is an all hands on deck cry out right now, because we're losing our young people for various reasons, and they turn to suicidal thoughts. They follow up those suicidal thoughts and ideologies. Moving right along. Mental health disorders is one of the reasons why a young teenager will commit suicide. And it points out that nearly 55% of those suicides are done by someone with mental health disability. Okay? Traumatic or negative family difficulties. Children that are living in a home that is very traumatizing. The parents may be one parent or both parents could be abusive. One parent can be abusive and the other parent do not step in and try to stop that parent. No one notices it. It goes unnoticed. And that child lives through that trauma for years. And there have been some news stations reporting that kids have been found locked up in a closet for 3 days, 4 days, you name it, not getting fed properly, things like that, people. And it goes unnoticed for a while. Some kids, due to, we look at the gender thing that's going on right now, the choice of gender. So a kid may say, I think that I'm supposed to be a girl, or I think that I'm supposed to be a boy. And you got one or both parents saying, we're not going to have it here. And then the next thing you know, they start dogging that child out instead of trying to understand. You see, and that child go through that for years in that home, over and over and over again. Being talked down to negatively, being treated like they are invisible. And what we're learning is that there's about 35% of those young people that are going through that. So it can be trauma in a family that is mistreating them, showing negative, not being loving and kind and just being negative all the time towards them. Always telling them what they're not going to do and not going to be and not going to achieve this and that and the other. Bringing them down. So we're looking at about 35%. Some stressing in the academic, going to school. It's a stress for them because who knows? They may end up going to school every day, running into a bully, somebody taking the lunch money or what have you. And I say that because that's old school stuff. They have designed it different now for the way the kids to pay for their lunches. But my point is, when you go to a school and you got a group always 3 or 4 always picking on you, always, girls deal with this all the time. A lot of times the girls have to deal with, if you're not on the cheerleading squad or the band, you're not in the band or something like that. Some of the kids are, kind of harsh and they pick on each other. Sometimes, depending on what they wear to school, some kids are less fortunate coming from a different type of socioeconomic background as far as their parents concerned and what their parents can afford and cannot afford. So you got the dress code. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people don't like this in America, but I think that every school should go to a specific dress code. And then you won't have that problem about kids looking at each other saying, oh, I got my Jordans on, I got this on, I got that on. You can wear that when you get at the house. Put them in uniform. Now, that's just me. But that'll stop a whole lot of other stuff going on that teachers cannot see because they cannot watch everything. You see? Then you also be able to stop how they wear those clothes. Y'all worried about dreadlocks. What you worried about dreadlocks for? If a young man got locks in his hair, at least his hair ain't flying all over the place. So why are you worrying about the locks in his hair? That's nothing compared to suicidal thoughts. You see, I've seen some nice cornrows. I've seen some nice dreads. I've seen a lot of nice hair wear, if you want to call it that a lot of these young people are wearing that looks good. But what do not look good, some of the ways they wear their clothing, hanging off of them, this and that, put them in uniform. Start worrying about cornrows and the dreadlocks. Moving right along. That's the academic world. We're looking at about 23% of those going through that stressing on the school campuses. Okay, social lifestyle. Now this is different. This is kids from one side of the town that's coming from a nice suburb, you name it. They doing well. Versus the low economic kids, the kids in low income homes, low income housing, the projects, you name it. It's difficult. And this is white and black. There was a time when it was just blacks, but now it's white and black. Now you have other ethnicities that move from other countries here that couldn't cut it. They're in low economic situations right now. And the kids growing up in that, and these adolescents has to deal with the situations that their parents are in. So the pain trickled down, is what I'm saying. The social pain, it trickles down to the children. These instances is about 20% of adolescents that going through the social lifestyle, the low economics and all that. That's another variable. Living in a neighborhood that is saturated with violence. Every time you're sitting in the house watching TV, you hear pop, pop, pop. You're hearing guns going off. You're hearing people running. You hear people all, you hear, it's just, how do you expect children to focus on a future when they don't even believe that they're going to be able to live in the future because they have lost hope of the present time? These kids are going through hell because there are undisciplined people running around with guns just shooting anytime they get ready. They can't even be children anymore. That's why I love the country. I'm just being real. That's why I love the country. Because we may have problems like that every now and then, but it's nothing like the city. It's nothing like you worried about going to just pulling up at a fast track gas station or a Circle K just to pump gas, and all of a sudden, two people go to arguing and now guns come out. See, these are the problems that is part of the counted variables that can cause people to go into a depressive state that will lead to suicidal thoughts. And I'm talking about adolescents that can't even be adolescent, that can't even enjoy their adolescent years because just life is too dangerous. Got too much going on out here. Nearly 23% has to deal with that. Economic distress, I've already mentioned that. Nearly 9% cannot enjoy their youth because guess what? You can't join this or that club because I can't pay the dues for that club. I can't afford to do this. I'm the only parent you have, and I'm working 2 jobs, and I can't do this and I can't do that. It's not the kid's fault. But guess what? That's just the way it is. And we are dealing with kids that are walking around quietly, not talking about the issue. Leads them right down the road to suicide. Then we talk about the relationship factors. When these young kids start seeing somebody that they like because of puberty kicking in, and they girl meet boy, that situation. And they don't have that parent at home that can really talk to them about high school relationships and teach them about the importance of education rather than having, a boyfriend or girlfriend. Not saying that you can't, but saying there's ways to do it, and let me show you the right way to do it so that you won't get caught up in a situation where you feel like you can't come and talk to me as I'm your parent, and you can't come home and talk to your parent because you feel bad and you feel like I'm going to scold you or what have you. And these kids going through these relationships out there, and half of them don't understand what they're going through. And there's no one to talk to them about it because now we don't talk about nothing. We just let kids do, and we don't even discuss it. We don't even talk about it. And it's sad because we have one of the biggest supporters has always been community. And nowadays, it's non-existent because I don't even know if they even discuss certain things. The mothers of the church used to get together with the young ladies, and they used to do all these things, and it was prevalent. I mean, it was right there in your face. They used to chase off the young boys. That's where it used to be. Now you can't do that. I don't see it happen. You know, Men used to talk to the young boys. Now you can't talk to the young boys. Not without a parent getting in your face, or or worse than that, the kid may be carrying a gun nowadays. These are the most frequent mentioned risk factors that I just went through when we're talking about suicide and those statistics that I wanted to cover. Suicide percentages among Black kids have grown more rapidly in the last 2 decades, with Black teenagers from the ages of also 10 to 19. There's nearly a 60% increase in suicidal death. People, if y'all don't want to, I know some people ain't going to agree with, you don't have to. I'm going to give you links at the end of this video. There will be links that you can go and click on, and you can go and you can look at it yourself. And always remember this. The numbers may not be precise because guess what? As we speak right now, someone, whether it's a young adolescent, whether it's a middle-aged male, whether it's a middle-aged female, whether it's an older senior, somebody right now as we speak is contemplating suicide. And I think that, not saying it's not happening, because I know a lot of organizations is jumping on this, but I think that real work needs to come from within the community. You cannot heal from outside in. You have to heal from inside out. And I truly believe that with all the studying I've done so far, that's the only way you can heal from the inside. And if we don't start with the grassroots areas in our respectable communities, getting with the churches, professional people, and the church people coming together with the academic world, with the health departments, with the people in the health world, with the people in the mental health world, and the psych places, let me tell you something. It will take all hands on deck. Trust me. Okay, well, when the question comes up, well, since you're talking about all of that, Mr. Williams, How do we go about fixing it? How do we go about trying to create a better world for our young people? And I'll say good question, because I don't have all the answers, but I do research. And let me tell you something. Even the people that I consider my colleagues that I don't even know that write great work, they do great work. They have some great ideas. And I take my ideas, I look at their ideas, and I say, man, let me tell you something. We can do a lot of good stuff around here if people just learn to say, hey, I need help. Raise your, I need help. Let me tell you something. How do we turn this around? Number one, it's going to take community involvement. That's number one. And how community leaders, educators, and health and mental health professionals must collaborate. Churches and academic professionals coming together to fight for our children. With other care systems using the resources that will address mental health concerns, health injustices, and healthcare dilemmas and mental health dilemmas. That's how we do this. That's one. Number two, we need to start petitioning and pushing to enhance access to care, just like the Obamacare put in. The Obamacare made a push for access to care. Now it's on us. We got to continue to push for it. We got to continue to advocate, petition. We have to continue to push to enhance access to care and encourage clients to focus on their reappearance at the mental health and drug use treatment centers for continuity of care. We got to do that. And trust me, y'all, I do this 5 days a week. I do it 5 days a week. And I do it on my YouTube channel, right here. So we can do this. Let's open our hearts. We can do this. Number three, the pressure from structural racism and discrimination. Why did I say that? Structural racism and discrimination, which is that's SRD acronym, refers to the micro-level condition, whether it's residential, whether it's segregation, or institutional policy. These are the conditions that limit opportunity, resources, power, and well-being of individuals and population based on race, ethnicity, and other statuses. That goes right on into gender, that goes right into other areas. You see what I'm saying? We got to fight against that. Because believe it or not, people suffer in silence. And when they're suffering in silence, that means they're not talking to anyone. And if they're not talking to anyone, you don't know what that person may do. That person may just get in their car one day, if they have a car, or get on a bus one day and just go. They don't even care where they go. They just get on and go. And you won't know where that person is. You don't know that person dead or alive until a report comes up. We found a body here or there. And then now somebody got to go and identify who it is. Or they have to use dental records. See, people, this ain't no joke. Number four, we must start looking at developing evidence-based action plans for suicide prevention as well as using biblical models to build stronger families and community cohesiveness. These are telling you, we got to find a way, and this is what I think we should do. And I'm running it out to you. I want people to understand. I'm just sharing this with you. Because some of these are my ideas. And I'm saying it right here on YouTube so nobody won't be able to say I didn't, But we must develop evidence-based action plans for prevention. That means we got to start working together. Churches got to open their doors to professional-minded people, people that have went to school. And I'm not saying open the door just to get their money from them. I'm talking about opening your door so that we can start discussing how we're going to help our children. Using the knowledge that we have accumulated over the years of studies and the biblical knowledge that the church is bringing to the table. Because no one's going to be able to fight this war by themselves. Number 5, promoting educational seminars on possible risk factors for mental diseases, including the identification of antecedents to suicidal thoughts. It's my number 5. Churches can put together a Saturday seminar and the people will come. The people will come and have a professional there to talk on these subjects. It don't have to be on church grounds, people. But it can be done by a church teaming up with professionals in the field, coming together, and let's talk to our people, not preach at them all the time. I've been down that road before, people, I know. But I've also been studying this now for a long time, and I'm going to tell you something. We need a different action plan. Number 6, when I'm thinking about some things, I thought about the loans that students go and get and can't pay back because they can't get a job in their respective field. And they lose hope. And when they lose hope, they end up on some type of drug. When they end up on some type of drug, they end up on the streets. When they end up on the streets, anything can happen. So, as I was thinking about that, I thought about the loan forgiveness program that you hear on the radio sometimes. You hear, here's what we should do. We need to start promoting that coming from a ground roots place of action. With that perspective in mind, we should be able to promote loan forgiveness programs that assist students in paying off college debt, which when you see these students that's complaining about college debt, do you know that it discourages other kids that want to go to college or maybe been thinking about college and say, I'm not going to go to college because I heard this rapper say, that's just another slavery. Or I heard the rapper say this, or I heard the rapper say that, or I heard this actor say this or this. Anybody that didn't go to school and made it without education, and I hear people talking about it, and I said it about rap because it's a rap song. But I'm saying this as well. There are people that speak against education because a lot of people end up with this debt, with this student loan debt that they can never pay off. They get degrees in a field and they can't go out and work in it because we got people in these job areas that getting their money, but they want to try to block other people. Trust me. So these kids are saying, why should I go to school? I'm not going to get a job. They're not hiring. They're not going to hire me anyway because I'm a person of color. So I'm going to learn how to rap, or I'm going to learn how to play football real well, basketball. But I'm trying to tell you, there's a very low percentage of people that make it in those genres. You have to be exceptionally well to make it in the NFL. You have to be exceptional. You have to be a player to be a baller just to play basketball in NBA. You can't not be striking out all the time at the batter's box to be a Major League Baseball player. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to make it in those areas, even acting is not easy to get into. Some people travel way over there to California trying to pursue an acting career, end up on the streets homeless. Real talk. So when you see these people like Taraji, you see these people like Denzel, you see these people like all these other people that has made it. Go look at Tyler. Go and check out Tyler Perry's story. I mean, people close the door in his face a lot of times. It wasn't easy for him to become the Tyler Perry he is today. So don't think that it's easy to do. That's my point. And education can be helpful. And I have my own story that I'm going to share one day about how I went back into education. Saved my life. Let me wrap this up. People, that was my six things that we can do to turn this around. And I'm going to tell you, we can turn it around. There are other ways we can turn it around too, because there are other professionals out there that's been thinking about this longer than I have. So you can go to biomedcentral.com and you can learn about this. You can also go to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and learn about this. Last but not least, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Those three areas or entities, you can go there and learn all about this suicide rate. The CDC also covers it. So my good people out there in YouTube world, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, people, let's get ready for some tough times that's coming, okay? Let's start preparing our young people, our youth. Let's start paying attention to what they're doing, because work cannot be your life. You got children, you need to pay attention to what's going on with them. You need to learn about the signs of someone that is headed toward suicidal thoughts. You need to learn about that stuff. And we need to come together, churches and professionals, and stop worrying about these turf wars that we have. Because everybody like to talk about God. Let's put it in action. I'm your host, Robby Williams, and you just enjoyed another episode of the Critical Cognitive Aggressive Thinking channel, where tonight we talked about the rise of suicides. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and even drop me a comment if you agree or disagree. So I'm going to let you good people go. Y'all have a wonderful evening and good night.